Hey, this is Jim McDonald. Welcome to episode 192 of the PowerCast. This episode is about change, perhaps more in retrospect than it was at the time that we recorded it back at the beginning of February. Charlie Zamora, who was a founder and the president of Caffeine and Kilos, has left that business to become a member of the Slingshot ST team. Working with Mark, and he has brought an incredible amount of energy and attention to detail to his work and has already had a huge impact on the business. So we wanted to have him on to talk about his personal philosophy and how he started his gym over 7 years ago, which he still owns, and what it was like getting started with Caffeine and Kilos, and then how he's approaching things now and what caused him to decide to make that change. And speaking of change, this is our last regular episode with Silent Mike. Definitely have to thank Mike for all of his effort getting this show together, getting it started, and all the interviews, all the 190-something interviews that he was a part of. He was a great contribution to the show, and I know that he's doing great things already, and nobody's worried about Silent Mike. We're still friends, and don't worry about don't read anything into anything. Life just goes on. JFK said, change is the law of life, and those who only look to the past or the present are certain to miss the future. And we're not going to miss the future here at the PowerCast. We've already got a bunch of new episodes in the can, and we're heading to LA in a few weeks to pick up some guests that I think you're really going to like to hear from. So like and share this episode and enjoy number 192. Support for this episode of the PowerCast comes from howmuchyoubench.net, home of Mark Bell's Slingshot. Bench heavy with no pain with Mark Bell's Slingshot. Apparel for strong people at 8manstrong.com and bodybuilding.com. Bodybuilding.com is the world's largest fitness website and supplement store. Bodybuilding.com has free fitness plans for every level. Visit bodybuilding.com today to become your best self. Happy to welcome back Compex USA as a sponsor. Go to compexusa.com and check out all the great muscle stim products there. We have all used them. They are the best we've ever used. Use the code PowerCast at checkout to get 28% off of everything but the lowest price model. compexusa.com.
Cat loose in the wall again.
Mark doesn't do headphones anymore because of the cat.
I want to be ready to hear anything, any and everything.
World War III starts while we're podcasting. He's going to be the first to know.
Yeah. You know.
I feel like all that is possible.
Is the fat guy done talking?
Fat guy's done right now.
Thank God. He was pretty obese. Anyway, that was a fucking crazy Super Bowl yesterday.
The fucking,
Anybody?
The fucking Pats.
Charlie's got a little story about it. What happened to you, buddy?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't want to discredit that Brady can make a comeback, but it looked pretty grim.
But you did.
When it was 28-3.
You doubted Tom Brady.
I didn't doubt them.
That's a big mistake.
I had to get home. My little guy needed a bath, so we drove home. And then
you're talking about a baby, not your...
I'm talking about a baby.
You're talking about your dick.
No.
Little Charlie.
Little Charlie, no. My son needed a bath, so
Miles.
we're taking care of Miles. Big Miles is born on your birthday.
What's going on with Miles? He looks 100% Asian.
Yeah, he definitely has.
I have concerns about this.
He's Filipino, primarily Filipino, and mostly actually Latin. So I don't know where the Asian look's coming from.
We're going to have to teach him some karate, that's for sure.
Yeah, hopefully he can help me out with work.
But you missed the game?
Yeah, I missed the whole comeback, and then my mom texted me, and she's like, hey, it's 28-28. Then I was like, why wouldn't you have texted me earlier? I would have turned on the game.
Yeah, there's 3 touchdowns I missed.
Yeah. So I got to see the final drive. So I was happy about that. And you know you're a fan of sport when Brady's on the podium there talking, and I'm at home clapping myself. Right. Just good job, man.
I was blown away that he was like on the ground. It's like he was on the ground having a seizure or something after the like the trainers ran up because they thought he was actually hurt.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm crying.
And fucking Bill Belichick was crying.
Yeah, Mr. Emotionless.
Yeah, you never see any emotion from him. He actually was halfway smiling on the sidelines, when they scored their second touchdown. And I was like, oh, that looks a little different.
Well, he only smiles when they win. Like in his whole life, that's the only times he's ever smiled.
And his smile is just his lips being straight across.
Yeah,
that's his smile. It's
that emoji,
they never
the straight across.
They never
one.
actually curl up, but it's just the opposite of him having him completely down all the time and having a frowny face.
Interviewed in the beginning. I forgot about who, Johnson or Miami's coach back in the day. I forgot his name.
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson. And everyone again like comments how like, oh man, he's so talkative then because he's kind of like Popovich of the NBA or others that just don't say shit.
He usually has one-word answers, but people ask you dumb questions at the
same
end of
with
those
Tom
games.
Brady.
Yeah, he was pretty good. They interviewed him a little bit or right before halftime, and they said, "Are you going to go in the locker room and make adjustments?" He said, "We already made them." I thought that was pretty cool. He's like, it's getting to be too late, and we're already getting slaughtered.
Yeah,
and we've already made some of the adjustments. We're just not able to execute any of them right now.
Right.
Which I thought that was pretty cool because that guy's just always on point. He's always on his shit. Did you play football, Charlie?
Football growing up, yeah. It was kind of weird that my dad wouldn't let me play until I was a little bit older. So actually, my first season was when I was a freshman, and the coaches loved my intensity, but I had no clue what I was doing. So it was fun. Good learning
Just
curve.
run down the field like a madman and kill somebody.
Literally, that's what they told me my first day of practice. They're like, go get the quarterback. I said, what are the rules? They're like, get him. I was like, all right.
You're pretty tall. You ever play some hoops?
Basketball as well.
Some organized basketball?
Yeah, basketball in middle school and high school. I actually ran track, football, baseball, and basketball. So every sport pretty much.
What were you best at, you think?
I was probably most skilled at baseball, but I quit playing that the earliest because I fell in love with football because I hadn't been doing it for 14 years, 15 years previous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of picture you being the guy on the team that if you nailed the ball and hit a home run, you'd be super fired up. But if you struck out, it would be like devastating.
That's correct. Yeah, you try to hide that emotion, but I'm pretty emotional.
Yeah, my brother was that way, and so like any time that he didn't do well, it was way worse than when he did well. He was excited about it, but he wasn't nearly as excited as he was disappointed when he fucked up.
Baseball's tough. I mean, I don't know that much about it, but percentage-wise, you're like gonna fail way more than you're gonna fucking get on base.
Hey, 30% of the time you hit the ball and you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
That's true.
I've said this before, but I admire my oldest son for being able to make the last out in a playoff game in Little League and have it not crush him. It just didn't like it,
Right.
It didn't have that kind of impact because he wasn't defining himself on it.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's kind of cool.
I still remember buzzer beater I missed.
Speaking of buzzer beaters, Kings got killed on Friday night with the Suns on a buzzer beater.
Yeah, I saw
Then
that.
came back and beat the Warriors.
And came back and beat the Warriors. And they beat the Cavs this year. It doesn't mean anything at all, but it's nice.
We had
Small
the strength
victories.
coaches in
Small
here
victories.
training. We had them lifting in here. Strength
Oh, yeah.
coaches.
Yeah.
Hitting up some deadlifts.
Super cool
Showing
staff.
them some of the tricks of the trade.
You and Mike had them doing sumos, right?
Yeah, a little bit of sumo deadlifts, a little bit of conventional deadlifting, how to mix it up a little bit. They want to get better. They got a new stadium. They know what's up.
Yeah.
They got a great practice facility there.
Well, they're super young.
Yeah.
The head strength coach is 25.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of that ever at the
No.
professional level.
So today we have our boy, Charlie Zamora. We got him on the show today, and we got him on the show basically to kind of explain a shift in gears and a shift in occupation, I guess you'd say. Charlie was the owner of Caffeine and Kilos. He was somebody who came up with a lot of the concepts for them and stuff, and we'll have him just talk about why he shifted gears and so on.
Yeah, so pretty simple, just life changes. So on December 10th, my son was born, Miles. He's a little monster. I'm pretty excited about that. I've already
He's
looked
chubby.
up. I've already
That's
looked
for
up like every camp he can go to and all the stuff he can do for training.
He's already enrolled.
He's enrolled. I'm already hitting up all the coaches. Some of the coaches at Ole Miss I'm friends with. I'm like, hey, he's turning already. I think that's a good sign. So it'll be fun. I'm really excited to have him in my life now and make that a cool adjustment. But with saying that, Caffeine and Kilos was just a big passion of mine. It was something I started for fun with some of my friends, and it ended up becoming an international phenomenon very fast. The first year of it operated out of the attic of my gym like any crazy startup.
Let's touch upon that for a minute. So how did some of that happen? What do you think are maybe like 3 to 5 things that helped the company kind of become all over the place?
Yeah, I would say that kind of my first time being asked this. I think that what helped is a lot of it was timing and hustle. And so, and like risk taking, I guess. I said timing, hustle, and risk taking. So there was a market for it, but I didn't actually know there was a market for it. And timing of having called up my buddies, Dean and Danny, and getting them involved at the right time, where Danny at that time was a school teacher. He had summers off, so he could help me with some of the stuff we're doing there. And Dean being in a form of transition and kind of having his like little clothing line that he was doing. And then the hustle of just grinding, because I've owned a gym for 7 years, my wife, on top of all of that. And the main thing is that not making it something that was a pursuit of actual financial gain. It was kind of something fun to do that everyone kind of got behind.
When when you had your gym, own your own gym and doing a lot of your own things, you're coaching, you're training people and stuff like that. Was there kind of moments you're driving back and forth between the gym where you're like, man, I kind of wish I was doing something in addition to this, or you had a burning desire for some reason to try to do something else?
Yeah, I've always liked to help people and to do really cool things and gather people together. We used to call them, I think it was called like some like throwdowns or like gym throwdowns. I've had you out there one time. I think Mike might have come one time, where I would just get groups of people together in our region and just have really great training sessions. I just feel that one of my specialties is getting people together, get them to think alike and to have fun doing things. And so, yeah, I had the gym and I was training and having fun doing that. And then I realized that I had so many friends in the industry through CrossFit, powerlifting, and weightlifting, and I was always helping promote their brands. And then one day it kind of hit me. I was just like, man, I think I could just kind of do my own thing. And that's kind of where, I'll be short, but that's kind of where it went. And
was there anything that spawned that? Was there anything in particular where a friend or somebody was doing something and you're like, man, I think I can maybe do my own whatever?
Yeah, it was kind of a weird situation. It's just the funniest story about how to get into business too. A guy comes to my gym. His name's Jarrell. He's actually on MTV this week. He's one of the former champions. He used to be one of the boxers.
Cool.
He's a cool guy. Long story short, he comes to my gym. He's like, hey man, you need gym t-shirts. And I was like, I don't want gym t-shirts. He's like, every time I
apparel's
make them,
a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Keeping the sizes in.
It's
and so on.
nuts. So he's like, no, you can just go on this website and make a t-shirt. And I was like, all right. Well, having ADHD, I didn't really focus on that. I made something cool and it said my life. And it was a coffee cup and a weightlifter. And I kind of I'm like, man, all I do is drink coffee and lift weights or drink caffeine. I'm like, that's all my friends do. And so I put that on Instagram and posted it, and people had like a huge response to it. And I was like, shit, I think there's something to this. And I asked my buddy Dean, I'm like, dude, this is like pretty cool. Like, let's do something with this kind of for fun.
Yeah.
And then we kind of went back and forth and kind of came up with Caffeine and Kilos. And that's how it originally spawned, was just being something funny or fun that we were going to do. I never knew that it would be what it is today. But I do know anything I put my efforts toward, I will be the best at.
You're going to work hard at it no matter what.
There's one thing I control is effort, and I will not be outworked.
Our guys at 8 Man had a similar story where their son was actually a wrestler. I think he still might wrestle. But he was just like he was getting good at wrestling. He was kind of beating up on people, and he started to develop some muscle. And so his friends called him Juice Monkey.
Nice.
And they were like teasing him. And so the dad kind of like, to kind of make light of it, made him a shirt, and it had this like ape on it, and it said Juice Monkey on it. And he actually showed me the picture. But that was their first shirt, kind of like you with the mug.
Yeah.
That was kind of his first thing that he made. And then he was like, it's actually kind of, even though we're just having fun, it's kind of cool. Maybe we can make like a brand, kind of off of this. And that's kind of how they got started. That's how they got rolling.
Donuts and Deadlifts was the same story, where they did like one-off shirt that did really well. I was like, maybe there's something here.
Yeah, and that was the apparel side. I mean, more came along too with that too. I had, the month previous of actually coming up with that idea, I had talked with Danny Lear, who's now their current CEO. And I called him up one day out of the blue. I'm like, dude, I want to host this crazy weightlifting meet. I want to get CrossFitters and weightlifters together. I've already done a bunch of events in the city and stuff. I think it should be cool. You down? And he's like, yeah, dude, I'm down. And then kind of accumulation of all these things came together. Then it all facilitated itself at one event, which was our first invitational. And that invitational is basically not only the launch of our brand, but a launch of unity between different ways of training. I remember actually, I think it was the second day I had thought about what was going on. I called Mark and talked at him for 45 minutes. And then he was
used
just
to
like,
call me all the time and just talk at me, and I didn't even know what was happening. I'd just be like, okay. He's like, just had so much caffeine, he was just fucking machine gunning me.
yeah. And I remember at that time too, he's just like, I remember on the phone too, you're like, shit, that's good. I wish I would have came up with that.
No, I when you told me about the Caffeine and Kilos idea, I remember kind of saying it, like I didn't hear anything else you said from the time you said it, and I just kind of kept thinking it in my head, caffeine and kilos, caffeine. And I hung up and I was like, that's a fucking good idea. He came up with something that's a good concept.
Yeah. You know what it did? It took a group of people. They were all doing the same thing in different respects, whether it was any kind of sport or any kind of training. We all at some point are going to drink caffeine and work out. It was just kind of finding a way to put it together. And the main thing that I was trying to emphasize while I was there, and I hope that culture continues with that company, is that we are more alike than we are different. All of us just like being better and working out.
Yeah.
And bringing those people together in that type of community, I think, was a really positive thing. And my removal of that was a little shocking to pretty much everybody. Like I said, getting back to my son Miles, I think the greatest job I'll ever have, or greatest responsibility, is being a good dad. And the personal responsibility I put on myself to be the CEO, president, and owner of that company, or co-owner of that company, demanded for, if anyone couldn't do something, it was always then my job. And I traveled so much across the country. I was doing so many things. I looked 3 years down the road and I said, this is awesome, and I probably could affect a lot of people's lives, but I'd probably rather be at my son's t-ball game. And I think that kind of helped me make that transition to where, you know, for me, finances and everything, I need money to live. But as long as I can pretty much lift weights and eat food and hang out with my family, I'm good. We got to be careful what I say, because now I'm here at ST and Mark's going to give me a pay cut.
That's right.
You're the only one of the principals that we didn't have on from Caffeine and Kilos.
Yeah, we had your guys on there before.
Danny and Dean
they explained a lot of the story.
I was probably traveling, working.
I don't know where you were. You were I think you were out of town.
Florida
though.
or something, yeah.
Or you were sick. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was on the list of things that keep people from being on the
Either
show.
way, you were too busy for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't
That's the way I
sick.
look at
It wasn't sick. I don't allow myself that excuse, so it's probably travel.
I think
Yeah,
you
it
were
was.
setting something else up at the time, but they explained a lot of some of the things that happened, in the beginning stages of the company and stuff, but they didn't really get too in depth on kind of the social media side. I think that's some of the stuff that you injected into the company, basically. So can you talk about that a little bit? How'd you got stuff out to athletes, it seems like, and you had stuff popping up on social media. Is it as easy as just sending stuff out, or how'd you do it?
I would say this, and me and Mike were just formally talking about this in the office a little bit earlier, is that there's kind of like this difference of understanding social patterns and what's going on, what's topical, and what's happening. And there's also this aspect of being a person that's consistent. So what I think truly happened, because I had a lot of my friends tell me this, whether it was Jason Kleepa, Kendrick Ferris, a lot of those other people that thought fairly highly of our brand, and probably still do, is that I had been to them such a good guy for such a long time in the community that when I just happened to kind of stumble on something I was doing, a lot of people were willing to give me that chance because I was a good person. And I've always been someone that gave back or looked into doing more for the communities that I was a part of. And I was never making an investment to get an investment back. I was making an investment because I saw the value in the community. And I think that's what helped transition us. Now, the other thing that I would say is everyone talks about like a sick work ethic or, like just doing things. I have done things for that company where I have drove to the Bay Area in one day, shot back to Elk Grove, shot back to Pebble Beach, shot back to Elk Grove, and then went to one of my wife's performances to make sure I was still part of my family. I've done things that...
His wife's a singer, by the way.
Yeah, I've done things
really fucking good. I got a chance to see her.
Yeah, she's good. Most people wouldn't want to do, and I think that the biggest difference that comes down, even keeping the Super Bowl topical, the biggest difference come down, I think it was Coach Belichick. Someone said that the hardest part about winning is the last 5%. And I think the hardest part about being successful is that last 5%. You could have a great idea. You could have great people in the market. You could have great margins. You can have all these different things going. But if you can't close,
that last 5%,
you'll never be successful. It's follow through is the main thing. And what helped really too is that socially I found ways to get people a part of something. And my goal was to get people to buy in. Everything I've ever learned about business has been through sports. And everything, we've talked about this. I think sports has precedence for people in people's lives where they learn even if you are the number 1 guy, or even if you're the number 25 guy, everyone has to do their job to work to be successful. And when we're looking at something even bigger than that, building a community, it was understanding that everyone in every area of fitness is a part of the team. How do we get people to buy in? And that was my goal through social media, was getting people to buy into powerlifting when they might not want to see a powerlifter, where they rather see a CrossFitter, and a CrossFitter valuing the powerlifter. But it was through the community and relationship that we built that. And by being positive and just like grinding, being literally, I mean, for the past, 4 years, you guys probably saw me at every single event all the time. I was literally.
That's a big part of it, isn't it? You can't just say, hey, like I'm involved in Olympic lifting, and without showing up to some of the events. Yeah, right? You have to physically be there. You can't just randomly send stuff out. You have to have a bigger relationship, right?
Well, and then like living the lifestyle is what I always talked about. I'm not the best athlete by far. I would say I'm athletic, but I did compete in the American Open for USA Lifting. I did compete in USA Lifting Nationals. I did compete at USAPL Raw Nationals, and I did powerlifting nationals and a weightlifting nationals in the same year. I've been to regionals for CrossFit with the team.
Somebody we know just told us, they said, I don't know who the guy was, but he ran out. He was super fired up. He did a deadlift and stuck his tongue out.
Oh, yeah,
that was
and he was yelling and screaming.
Who told us that?
And then he came off the platform. I was like, the guy was telling us the story. He's like, that guy's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was probably me. Yeah, I've done, like I said, I've done regionals for CrossFit. I've done those things. So not only being a part of the community, I've actually competed in those things, and then to the highest level of the CrossFit Games, I've coached athletes there, and I've been a part of helping other athletes there. And I think that really helped solidify within our company at the time that I was there. I was, like I said, I was the main guy. I was our CEO and president. To be the leader and be that guy, not only, not a lot of people know this, but I would, with my team, set up the booth. After set up the booth, sell all weekend, be on my feet, and then I was heavyweight, so then I would lift on Sunday. After I'd lift, we'd then break everything down. The Monday before we flew out, we'd visit 25 gyms before we left to make sure we saw the people, then got back in a plane.
That's a lot of kilos of caffeine right there.
Then I'm coaching class at my gym at Tuesday, but that's, people don't like to see that part. They don't want to see that romance. What they want to see is the time that I rented a Porsche 911 in LA and was driving around town, which is primarily marketing, but they see that part. They don't see red eyes for 9 hours to Miami. They don't see a lot of those things, which is fine, but the aspirations to have follow through and to finish have to be there as much as the action of it.
Yeah, and to say yes to a lot of opportunities without even knowing how you're going to do them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, can you be here Friday? And you have 3 other things to do Friday. You're like, yep.
Someone always told me, they're like, a lot of times we know you were going to do it, but we just didn't know how. And I said, neither did I.
I've always, and this is not working out anymore, but it used to work out. I always kind of thought, like, if I plan 2 or 3 things, only one will happen anyway. Because there's always some sort of like something happens.
That's kind of what my life is like. But yeah.
But now I'm like actually like making real appointments with people, so it's gotten to be harder. I shouldn't do that anymore, really. But
yeah,
because now it's just stockpiling on top of each other.
In my experience, any day that looks way overbooked, something's going to fall out.
Yeah, it always does. Yeah. Somebody gets sick, somebody can't make it, or somebody's got to push the time back an hour.
And if it doesn't happen, then you're screwed.
Yeah.
Then you got to push the time back.
Yeah.
I generally wake up every morning at like 4 is when I get my day started. And what I'll try to do is I'll sit down. That's when no one's awake unless Miles is awake, my son.
What do you like about that time? Like, I know that you've been doing that for a while.
4 o'clock, it's always got further and further back. But my first class that I coach for my gym's at 5:30 a.m. But I like waking up at 4 every morning, whether it hurts, no matter how much sleep I got. I like a consistent pattern. So Monday through Friday, I wake up at 4. And one of the coolest things about that is who's awake?
Right.
Nobody. Who's going to bother you? Nobody. What distractions do you have? Nothing. It's the fastest way for me to basically, I call it my game day prep. Just like you'd have like an outline of what your warm-ups are going to be, I outline my entire, it's actually on my phone right now, I outline my entire day from the time what I'm going to be doing things, what its level of importance, what I'm trying to accomplish that day. And like you said, having multiple things on the plate, only knowing you're going to certain things, my day's completely full. I have my list of immediates, and then after immediates, it's like, secondary, right, and then third. But that list is literally this long. My goal is to get through what is supposed to be done today, but always being aware of what's supposed to be happening tomorrow.
Some things might get pushed the next day.
So is that baked into your personality, or is that an accommodation to try to be able to do more things and be accountable for a bunch of things that you've committed to?
I would say it's personality. I'm one that actually doesn't need to operate on a lot of sleep. I have a problem sleeping if I know that I have something I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So the biggest...
Yeah, you're a very like antsy motherfucker to begin with.
Yeah, like I want to move around right now. I joke around and say I have ADHD. My main thing is that I'm not guaranteed tomorrow, and I want to make damn sure that every day that I have, I accomplish the most that I can. So at the end of the night, when I close my eyes, after I tell my wife I love her and kiss my little boy, I know that I gave my best effort that day for what I could do, because I think valuing each day sets a precedence, and it's doing the little things consistently. So if I'm doing the little things right every day, that consistency over years is going to lead to long-term success. If I'm always chasing big goals or big ideas, that's great, but I really think the only way to get there is to focus on the micro and like step by step. And if I know that I'm a good person, I work my ass off, and I don't leave any room for doubt, then win, fail, or whatever, I could sit back and say I gave my best effort. You know, and that's kind of, for me, that's how I feel.
Something I remember from meeting you like way back in the day, way before Caffeine and Kilos, when you were coming in to lift at Midtown.
When I weighed like 180.
Yeah, you know,
when you were handsome.
On the Olympic side and doing, you know, CrossFit type workouts, and then you did some powerlifting with us and stuff
Everything.
too. Is that you're one of those people who treats everybody exactly the same.
Yeah.
Which is not something we're used to in the fitness world, honestly.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Talking to like the Barbell Brigade guys who get a lot of like fit celebrities or whatever walking through the door, they always talk like that. Like, I know when they talk to me the same they talk to Bart, then they're cool.
Right.
Yeah. No, and yeah, you could see a lot more to that now too, with a lot of stuff that you're doing also with Reebok and different things. I think that consistency is key, and I think that, you know, you have to spend a lot of time building repetition for yourself. And I just want to be accountable to where, you know, when my son's getting raised or my wife hears him talk about me, they could say that no matter who he talked to, who he worked with, he was a good man and worked hard.
Right.
And who are we to say that, I know this is bad, but like powerlifting's better than CrossFit or CrossFit's better than this or that. At the end of the day, we all have different shit that we're into, and we're just very passionate about it. Where we start to get weird or start to attack is out of that passion. But if we could look past that veil of security within what we do, we could just appreciate people for what they do. You're going to have a lot more positive interactions, and ultimately you could probably learn a lot more. Like, how the hell does Ben Smith keep his volume so high and still have a decent deadlift in powerlifting standards? You know what I mean? For his size and his weight. Like, there's something we could learn. So I was joking around with Smoke the other day. I made him do like a little bit of a CrossFit workout, and he's huffing and puffing. He's like, I can't do this. I'm like, you do whatever you want to do, man. Your body's going to tell you what you can or cannot do. I know he's a strong gentleman.
What'd you make him do?
It was like a little 1 burpee, 1 kettlebell swing, 2 burpees, 2 kettlebell swings up to 10 minutes. I think he made it like 5 or 6 minutes in. He looked like he was gonna die. Yeah, but like I said, you only are allowed to do what you think conceptually you could do. Someone says, how are you up at 4 a.m, right? I go to bed. I try to go to bed at like 9. Well, that doesn't happen with Miles. I maybe have him from 9 to 11. He'll eat, and then 2 hours he's gonna wake again. I'll help my wife change him. So now we're looking at 12 to 1. I'm up. I help put him back down. He might feed again. He might wake up again at 3 before my alarm goes off. So I technically have unbroken 4 hours of sleep, and I've been running off of that.
It gets harder to put him to bed as they get older. You got
7 weeks.
That to look forward to.
Yeah, but here's the thing too. Like, why would I not wake up at the same time and still work my ass off? And why would I come to work and complain in a training session with Mike that I'm not feeling good? Like, I'm here, I'm awake, I'm gonna kick ass. I'll give 100% of what I have every day.
Try to be as positive as you can.
What's your alternative?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I fucking feel like shit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you say you're tired later on,
Yeah.
or say, "Oh man, I'm glad we're done with that workout because my fucking arm was killing me, or my
yeah,
knee
exactly.
hurt." You know,
just
whatever.
get through it.
And you wouldn't expect that Smokey would be able to crush that workout the first time anyway. I mean, that's something you have to have reps for, right?
No,
Get
correct.
conditioned for. So,
Correct.
Have you ever worked with an athlete that short and that fat and that unathletic before?
You have the beard, and that's just a trifecta.
He's pretty unathletic, sadly.
Yeah, I made a picture of a meme of him. Maybe I'll send it later. We'll put it on as the intro picture to this. It was the guy from Lord of the Rings, the little hairy guy. He's kind of fat that has the
Gimli?
axe.
The dwarf?
Gimli.
Yeah.
How bad is that? I'm such a nerd.
You're a
Yeah,
nerd.
Gimli.
That's who it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty good.
You've done some Olympic lifting and some power lifting. What's your favorite? What do you like? Like, what do you like the feel of the best? Do you like doing a clean the best, a snatch the best, some sort of powerlifting movement?
I would say that nothing feels better than pulling the shit out of a deadlift, regardless of what your form looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to be good, but there's something about
I agree
pulling,
with that too. Deadlift's my favorite exercise, even though I'm not great at it.
pulling something heavy off the floor. I think that's
Yeah.
just kind of like timeless. Like
what I
everyone,
like about it too is
can you pick that up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like about it too is if something hurts or feels off, you can just drop the bar.
Yeah.
You can't really do the other lifts, like
You die.
dropping the bar is not smart, you know?
Yeah, I would say the most technical lift I've ever done in competition is a snatch, and it's one of the ones that's sometimes not the truest reflection of the person's ability or strength because so much goes into actually
There's a lot
making
of
a snatch.
other things, huh?
Clean and jerk, they always say is, how champions are made. It's, it's a 2-part lift, but it's usually for the win or for your final total. So that's just like the deadlift is kind of finish out the meet.
Yeah, finish it out.
I don't know though. I think seriously the deadlift is probably my favorite lift. You could do it at any time, and I think no matter how old you get, it's also a good test of overall strength.
What are your opinions on the transfer of powerlifting into Olympic lifting, or even vice versa? But a lot of Olympic lifters will do the Olympic lifts till they're blue in the face. They'll do the lifts several times a day, even in some cases, or 7 days a week, or whatever the case might be, but not really utilize much powerlifting or anything like that. Do you think powerlifting has much transfer over, or do you think there's some issues with trying to deadlift heavy and things like that?
I don't know. Like my true background before CrossFit was more of like the bodybuilding type gym. But if I had to say that I've trained in one modality or one way for the longest, it's probably been CrossFit. So with that being said, being CrossFit first before I started doing powerlifting and Olympic weightlifting, it's actually what introduced me to those things outside of you guys, is that I don't really see how it couldn't. I mean, we see all the time how different movements help those athletes, and they're snatching more, deadlifting more, but also able to run more. I think the human potential is very great. I think if you're a top tier, super elite athlete, then you probably need to be very specific. But I think
maybe careful of what you're doing, right?
Of what you're doing so you don't get hurt. Like I could understand that. But I would say for the majority of people, I don't see how powerlifting couldn't help you get better. If you think about like snatch grip deadlift pulls to develop more strength off the floor, even though it isn't a snatch grip, they are utilizing a deadlift. You can't tell me that doing powerlifting or being strong is not going to have a positive effect on your weightlifting.
Right.
I just think that with respect to powerlifting, sometimes Olympic lifting has to be a little bit more technical for what you're doing because you're literally catching a weight opposed to pushing or pulling it. The aspect of catching the weight, I think, is what makes it dangerous.
Yeah, the weights
also
are
fun.
lighter, and there's a point in the lift where you become quote unquote like unloaded. Like the weight is like literally in the air for a second. You do have to catch it and figure out a way to absorb it.
Yeah.
So I mean, the lift is quite different, and we've just. I always think that getting stronger always helps, but also at the risk of sometimes, like when you deadlift, when Mike and I deadlift or Jim, like we get in these training sessions where we're deadlifting for half an hour, or sometimes even longer. And you're deadlifting, and the next day and the day after and so on, you're sore, you're moving slow. And what I always say about that is that a lot of athletes can't afford that. They can't afford to do that much deadlifting to the point where whether they're playing football or doing CrossFit or any other sport. Maybe for a powerlifter, maybe that's the most efficient, best way they know how to get stronger in their sport. But maybe when it transfers over to something like Olympic lifting, maybe it's a better idea to kind of get in and out of that quickly, get in and out of that fight quickly so you don't get so banged up.
Yeah, you had Coach Mark here from the
49ers,
the 49ers, and he was talking about a lot of what the athletes will do. They'll come off a 5-day break, and he's talking about how some of these coaches will do what they call a spike, and it's you've been gone for 5 days. Now we're going to run the shit out of you and beat you up. And he says he thinks that's the most damaging thing. If I'm quoting him correct, I'm sure he'll let me know. Mark's very abrasive about his information. But if I recall what our conversation was, he says and this is talking to what you said, you don't want those spikes in your training. Because if you have a spike like that, you could take 4 to 5 days to recover where you have micro tears or like little stress things in your body. Right. It's actually not going to be conducive for whatever it is that you're trying to be doing in your true sport. So like you said, if someone's pulling, super, super heavy deadlift and they're supposed to be doing snatches the next day, that spike might not have a positive effect. I just think the general movements, if programmed the right way, can help.
Well, there's tweaks and everything. Talking to the Kings guy or probably even Mark from the 49ers, they'll do a trap bar deadlift. It's going to be less abrasive on the low back, and you'll be fine. Weightlifters, what will they do? Like you even said, a snatch grip deadlift, which are already handling less load than they would on a normal deadlift, and then they're probably dropping it at the top. They're not controlling the eccentric. Yeah, a lot of them like give a hip bump and then drop it.
Yeah.
There's another way that you're going to get less sore, like whereas a power lifter will control it both ways because they want to control it both ways.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think that you've seen a lot of people too, whether it was Bart or others, Omar, these different people that are in the YouTube realms are trying a little bit of both right now, and they're doing things. And it's kind of funny in a good way to see that experiment because you're taking yourself something out of your comfort zone and then trying a new thing. I think that's cool.
Omar did like over 300 pounds over his head, didn't he?
Yeah, he's doing all right, I think.
Yeah, I've been watching
overhead squat 2 something. I don't know. I don't know what's good.
What's he, 190?
Yeah. No, he's like 170.
Yeah, through you guys, I've kind of noticed him more. I kind of follows you. I'm like, hey, he's lifting not that bad.
Push press or something. I think with 325.
He's a really high level coach. I forgot the guy's name. Jake something. I think he's maybe even a Canadian champion weightlifter, and then now he's coaching one of the top hockey teams in Canada or something. So the guy's super legit, and that's who Omar was learning from, I think.
That's cool.
Yeah, I forgot his name. Jake something.
What's some of your iron cred, Charlie? What kind of lifts we got going on here?
Oh,
I know we don't have a big bench, but let's go through.
Yeah, nothing.
I think you clean and jerk something pretty good, didn't you?
I've clean and jerked. I think in competition, 161, whatever 161 is.
Okay.
I've done that in competition.
No idea.
In competition, I've snatched. My best is 137. Oh, excuse me, 140. So I've done 140 in competition.
Are those common to be that close together? That seems close together. Am
I
I
have
wrong?
weak ass legs.
All right.
Yeah, I'm tall and I love strength training, but I just haven't been in one thing long
You are
enough.
6'2", 6'3", something like that?
6'3".
Yeah.
Right now I'm a little heavy. I'm like 236. I'm trying to get my weight down. I'm trying to go keto, but it's just a lot of cheese and meat.
161 is what you said?
161 is my best competition clean and jerk, and then 140 is
354.
354 best, 354. And then 140 is my best competition snatch. In training, I've clean and jerked. I think it was 170. And then I've snatched 146, so 321 pounds on the snatch and close to 380 pounds on the clean and jerk. But training, like anyone says, doesn't count.
And squat?
Squat, my best squat was actually here. I did 505 for the first time, and then I did it for a triple.
Yeah. What was great about that
I was
day
pretty
is
fired up.
It was Charlie's first time in knee reps, and Charlie's going absolutely crazy on each and every rep and each and every set. And I'm like, all right, man, we get those knee reps on. We're gonna have to slow it down a little bit. And he's like, okay. So then he did a set with I think like 455 or something to get used to the knee reps, but he didn't listen to anything I said. He just fucking went like hell, and I popped it up for a few reps, and then it was like 515. I was like, man, you got to control it a little bit better because this weight might kind of throw you around. Again, he didn't listen to any of that. Again, we wrapped his knees, and he went and he did a 505 for a triple. That was damn impressive.
That was a 30-pound PR for a single. And then 30-pound PR for a triple. Environment. I mean, the only thing that's kind of scary is I'm here every day now, so I hope I don't kill myself.
Kill yourself, yeah.
But it was fun. You walk into the gym. It's as long as I've known you guys. I mean, before this, I've actually known everybody pretty much 6-7 years now, maybe longer. And you come to the gym. Even now, I'm here every day. There's just an energy about being here and about being somewhere where it is so iconic. I think people need to know more. That Sacramento, West Sacramento is this home base for this awesome thing, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here. Is like there's so much here that needs to be able to continue to be expressed to the world, even outside of powerlifting, just more so just fitness in general and how people can help. And it's fun coming to work every day. And now I'm training. I'm rehabbing after hurting my back last year, and if it's just doing bicep curls, I'm stoked. Like, I just want to train.
So in terms of clarity, okay, you still have your gym, right?
Yes.
Okay. What are you doing here other than lifting? Because we haven't talked about that.
Yeah, no. So I resigned January 1st of 2017 from Caffeine and Kilos, actually as an owner, president, and CEO. Danny Lear is now the CEO of that company, and then Dean Sidoris is the other owner. So now they're co-owners, and Dean is the chief of operations. I moved here. Me, Mark, and Andy had met, and we talked about what I could do to.
He talked at us for 4 hours.
Yeah, I had like this whole plan, all these papers and stuff. But we talked about what I could do here, and I told Mark it was one of the biggest decisions in my entire life because Caffeine and Kilos is an amazing company. We're literally doing the best we've ever done. I controlled my work schedule. I did everything that I wanted to do, and I gave all of that up to come over here. To basically be someone who's just willing to help. So, I do have official titles. Just I think what people need to know is I'm here to help this brand grow, to kick ass, and I'm more of a supporting role to everybody here and helping people know more about what's happening here at Super Training Gym on a greater level, which might be helping more with getting him, other places and doing speaking arrangements, helping with Mike and these guys doing seminars. It might be helping with build outs at events. It might be helping with branding, coming in with new apparel. It might help with media, with exposure, different things. I would just say that I'm here to be a utility player. Mark made a joke, and he said, if you've seen the Pulp Fiction, that he calls me the wolf. I'm just supposed to come in and
the fixer.
Shit, you called the wolf? That's all you had to say, and he hangs up the phone.
Yeah, so it's been fun, and I think that it's better to even though I have a title, I think it's better to operate as just a player on the team, and my goal is just to kick ass.
We went to that Caffeine and Kilos event that they had this year, and where Mike did his 705 deadlift, and a lot of other big lifts went down that day. There was Olympic lifting going on, CrossFit, powerlifting. There was vendors there, and there was just really nice setup and well organized and everything. And I just, whenever I see something that I don't currently have, I'm like, fuck. And so that's what happened is I went to that event and I was like, not only do I not have this, I don't know how to make this happen. It's like not in my head does not work this way. Whatever this is that's going on here today, I can't make this work. So I was like, I need to figure out the guy who did make it work, figure out how to steal him away, basically. So, yeah, then we just got in kind of conversations about it and just talking back and forth. It took a little bit of time, but he always felt good about it. And something that he said, I wouldn't have pushed it if he didn't tell me that he didn't really want to be in an owner position anymore.
Correct.
That was something that really stuck out in my head because I wouldn't have. I do like Danny and Dean a lot. I didn't want to disrupt anything that you guys were doing over there, but him saying that to me kind of stuck with me, and I was like, well, that kind of means that he probably wants to move on and do something different. And so I approached him with it, and kind of here we are.
Yeah, and it's been fun getting to know people on a more personal note. Like I said, me and my wife still operate our gym. I technically own that, but my wife pretty much runs that. I kind of coach classes and just listen to her, and we have a great gym family there at Warriors Fitness, and they're very supportive of me being here. And along with that, one of the main things is I was talking about accountability to travel, accountability to things that I had to do. Sitting down with Mark and Andy and talking about my future, I just told them that transitioning out of ownership for that particular arena of my life, I just wanted to put family first, and I felt that what I was doing there, I couldn't. I hope those guys can find a way to balance that because I think that they can. But me personally, the way that I operate and the way that I function, there's no way. I mean, I just even now I can work.
You want to be all in 24/7,
all the time, especially if my name's on it. I still feel that same way with a job that I have, but at the end of the day, if everything falls down here, if I'm not responsible for the final say, I just know I could say what I needed to say, and then hopefully it works. And I know it will with these guys over there. That the weight of that was a lot. If I couldn't also have a projection into the future of where I truly envisioned myself and where I truly envisioned the company. So I think it was the best decision, the best timing for those guys to also let them know early on. I mean, the last thing you want is someone who's kind of doesn't know where they're at for a couple of years in the business. You can't really be productive that way.
Were they receptive?
Yeah.
Or was it rough?
I wouldn't say it's rough. So I have a really good personal relationship with both guys.
Yeah.
I basically see Danny's daughter grow up. I appreciate both of the significant others in their lives as well. Me and Dean have known each other since we've been like 12. Wow. I mean, like a long time. They just knew where I was at, and they knew that, I think we've grown Caffeine and Kilos bigger than me. Even though I was like kind of our front man, the company doesn't need me to exist. It's grown way past that. I mean, I knew that when we went to World Championships in 2015 for USA Weightlifting, and there's people from all over the world that don't speak English that would come up to our booth and be speaking some other dialect and then say Caffeine and Kilos. And I'd be like, yeah. I mean, that was a very humbling and exciting moment for me when I knew we did it. Like this is known. And it was cool. And I think that those guys are only going to take that thing further and further. And I think the true testament of the legacy of that company is going to be how it can move forward with those guys as a lead. And here's the other thing too. Say you have an athlete that you're working with, right? And you have 3 head coaches. It can become a little difficult. So I'm hoping too with me out of the pot, even though I was one of the main leads in there, now decision making can also be a little bit easier and they can continue to prevail. I mean, Dean kills it. He's great with his fashion sense. You guys always make fun of him for that, but he really
High
is.
fashion.
He's good at it.
When we had him on the podcast, he talked about high fashion.
Yeah, he's good at it, and he understands what's topical and what's trending. And I think one of the most coolest attributes that Danny has as a person, sometimes it wasn't good if we got in an argument, is that he won't quit. Like, he will work until he finds a resolution.
He's got a lot of energy.
And he's got a lot of energy too. So I know that by the nature of who Danny is, he will not allow that company to fail. So I'm excited about that, because the other thing too is if you spend so much time building something, it's just like, watch it die.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that. I feel like those guys, it might be a different version, but I think it's still going to have the same core.
Yeah, it turns out that I knew Danny's family when I was a kid. I just didn't know Danny until he was in here, when we were recording, it was 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God. Yeah, like I knew his Aunt Cindy when we were kids.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have a great family. His grandfather was an entrepreneur as well, and those guys got good head on their shoulders. And for me, I wish them nothing but the best. I just where I was in life, it was better to be on this team. I'm doing like 4 events a year, the major events with planning, and if anything, like I keep talking about, I want to help create a culture here that really exemplifies each and everybody from Mike to Smokey to Dan to Marcus to whoever, and show people how awesome everyone that's here is, and then help grow that exponentially to where people get to experience what I can now experience every single day, is walking into one of the coolest places in the world. And I think if we can let people see what that really looks like, even though well, how is that? You guys are all over the place. I think there's a deeper level of everybody that people don't get to see that would be really amazing for people to be able to gravitate towards. And I told Mark, I think that the bigger parallel that is exemplified here with this company is that people see him as someone who has overcame. And I think the true company undertone is strength, and stronger is in the logo. I don't think that it really has to do particularly too much with powerlifting, even though it does. It's more so the ability to overcome. And no matter who you are, you could rally behind that. Whether it's something at your work, whether it's a family thing, whether it's just training to get bigger and stronger, whether it's to get leaner and get jacked, the pursuit of strength to be a stronger person is what I see this company stands and exists for. And I want to help explain that and showcase that even more to the world.
What you're talking about is kind of a shift between a primary leadership position to sort of a consultant position, like in-house consultant, really. So you're kind of dealing with a little bit of everything, and the final responsibility doesn't fall on you, and the things that are out of your control are out of your control.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a very appealing to a lot of people. It was like when I was in the corporate world, it was more like you had everything at your feet. And then when I left that and was doing just consulting, it was like, this is my best view of what you should do in this situation. And if you don't want to do it, well then,
it doesn't look bad on you.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, but the cool thing is too is with that is that I've also learned too not to tell people that things are bad ideas. I think sometimes too, when people are telling me about things in the company here, they're telling me about ways things happen. My goal is to say, okay, this is a communication test. Okay, you have messenger.
He might say he'd advise against it.
Yeah,
That's what I've heard a couple times.
Messenger, message, receiver. Sometimes on this end, it's just not coming out the way that this person was trying to say. So I would say probably my number one strength outside of a crazy hustle and work ethic is the ability to communicate. And I think that's one of my strongest attributes. And it's taking what's in someone's mind and helping them explain it to other people.
Mm-hmm. We've talked before here on the podcast how it's, which it should totally be fine, but you can't do it. You can't just tell somebody no without like an explanation, which I think is kind of unfair. You should be able to say no.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Mark, could you post this for me on your Instagram? I can't just say no. I probably need to like call you and kind of explain, why. Yeah, why, or hey, it can go up on MB Slingshot or something, But just to sometimes tell somebody flat out no, or that's not a good idea, can sometimes come off as being rude.
Yeah.
So instead of that, you have to say something different, or maybe even just talk about something from a completely different point of view. Rather than saying that's not a good idea, you say, what do you think of this idea? Without even saying like instead or anything. Maybe it's along the same lines, but it's just slightly different.
Yeah, what if that's American? They might not. You might be able to say no in Europe.
Maybe so.
Russia? No.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it is American.
But sometimes you're just trying to get to the point of like what are you trying
if you
to
got that text that said no, you'd be like, that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Fucking said that. God damn it.
what are you trying to accomplish with this idea?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what's
Right.
what was the motivation? What are you trying to do? And
Yeah.
if, there are other ways to accomplish things.
But
Correct.
that might be American too, because
Yeah.
people will say shit without a why. You're like, fuck that guy. He didn't even think it through.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
are throwing ideas like that guy doesn't even know what the fuck he's thinking. Where some people will think of all the repercussions of whatever he's asking.
And some people are motivated by purely personal things that they try to put business stuff on top of. And then you have to decide whether that personal thing is really a good driver, regardless of the fact that it's personal, or if it's just so personal and petty that you have to just let it go. You have to,
I think what's kind of funny too is that I think that another draw for me being here is Mark invokes my creativity. I think one of the best illustrations that explains who I am is they have all the animals sitting down and they ask the fish to climb the tree and he can't do it, so technically he failed. And it's like, if you ask a fish to climb a tree, he's not a monkey. Like, I just think very differently.
You're a monkey fish?
Yeah, monkey fish. So I've always been this way, and it's some of the same parallels with the way that I think that we think similar is that school gives me anxiety. I'm horrible at spelling. I'm bad at math. Scholastically, I was horrible.
I noticed spelling errors in his text.
All the time in my emails.
That's how bad it is.
I have to have revisions for emails that go out to corporate companies. No, the main thing is that I've always thought very differently, and what I've been really good at is observing and then finding ways to think outside of the box to, I think, at a very basic level, protect myself, because I wouldn't get to the resolution the same way other people had. I'd find new ways to get there, which I think invoked so much creativity, so many different elements of communication that I think are very special. My brother said that he was actually listening to a podcast where he said that one of the guys said the best thing he could have been born with was ADHD and an attention problem, because things that happened to him, he had to find different realms, which forced him to talk to people, figure things out, ask questions, think outside the box. And I think that with that, the hardest thing for me is when someone can't see what I'm trying to say. It really frustrates me, but I know it's going to work. And what I've had to do my entire life is just prove it. And that's what I've done time in and time out. I mean, I honestly don't believe I can fail. And some people might see that as arrogant. That's just what I expect of myself. Like, I will not fail. I will outwork anybody and everybody to get the job done that I need to. And by nature of who I am, I'm going to do it. And a lot of people thought when I started Caffeine and Kilos, that'd be a joke. A lot of people said, you're 22 years old, getting married. Like, why would you do that? I've been with my wife for 10 years, married for 5. Why would you open up a gym? You're only 21 years old. Same time I was getting married. I was like, because I know I want to help people. I've had my gym in my community for 7 years. I've done so many amazing things, but I think it's just a small glimpse of what I'm capable of, because I expect so much more out of my life. And I want to help so many people. And I really, truly believe that I could facilitate a lot of those dreams of helping so many people by being right here. And I think this is the perfect time to be at Super Training to help grow people. I mean, to see these two in a room when they do a seminar, to see how people light up when they see Mark, to see people light up when they see Silent Mike do a demo and pull some heavy weight, to see them like take a really creepy selfie to make sure they're in the same picture. Some of that stuff is so amazing. And what I just want to do is I've been on both sides. I've been on the side where I'm doing it. Now I'm on the side where I'm helping. But what they have here is just this really big undercurrent of a really big wave that's going to be built. And it's my goal is just to shred that thing and show everybody how awesome it is. And I think that I called Mike and I was talking to him. I said, man, it's a really interesting analogy, but I feel like I'm Dennis Rodman. And he's like, well, why are you Dennis Rodman? Because I'm like, because you're Pippen and he's Jordan. I'm kind of the crazy guy that's supposed to just come in and get rebounds. Let's win some championships. And Mike kind of laughed about it because it was a basketball reference. But my main thing I said is I've always been that guy. Like, I could do whatever's asked of me. And I think that I take pride in how I do it. And that's what makes me different.
Some of the things you get excited about and fired up about, have they messed things up from time to time? Like, you started your own gym and you started your own clothing brand. Like, maybe was there, like, once you started it, was it like, oh shit, has it ever interfered with reality?
A little bit. I would say, like, it's a double-edged sword. So part of me goes, okay, Charlie at 29 knows exactly how not to do a bunch of things. Right? Like, yeah. I know how to not do a bunch of things. But I think of it as kind of a weird term as like failing forward. And so my whole thing is that I never have the comprehension of failure as something that defines me in a way that's negative. I define it as some way that I tried that didn't help me get to the resolution that I'm currently looking for. So if I'm constantly trying to figure out that resolution, all of the quote unquote failures are just missed attempts, but they're also recon of how not to do something. So I think that moving forward, a lot of the stuff that I've done, I wouldn't change anything. Some people say, well, why not? And I said, there's things I could have done better, but I think it grew me to know what I would never do again. And I think that life experience is something that you can never get back. And one of the coolest things that I had learned was my grandfather sat me down. My grandfather, I was like 22 or 23. I had my gym going. I think I just started Caffeine and Kilos. I'm married, I have my shit together. My grandfather's twice made millionaire, entrepreneur. I won't even get into it. Long story short, he was QVC before QVC. He was on Wall Street Journal, everything. I get a lot of like that personality from my mom's side of the family. They're very like people, sales oriented. Long story short, I'm sitting there. I'm trying to impress my grandfather as I'm sitting in his like mansion. And I said, Grandpa Chuck, like, I don't get it. Like, I'm only 23 years old. I'm married. I bust my ass. I work hard. I do all these different things. Like I haven't asked money for anybody. I do all my own shit. I just don't understand why people my age don't work hard and why they don't get it. And I remember my grandfather looked at me and he looked disappointed. And I was like, oh shit, what's going to happen? He looked at me and then he kind of smiled and he said, Charlie, he said, God bless us all with different tools. He said, just because someone's not doing something that you're doing doesn't mean they're just not trying just as hard as you are. He's like, you need to learn how to have compassion. Everybody's going through something. Everyone's trying as hard as they can. Shit. You need to sit down and look at yourself and basically have more compassion towards other people and not look at anyone different than yourself. Maybe they're working just as hard as you. They just have different skills that God gave them. And I remember like, it's hard for me to talk about without crying, but like it crushed me. Because like here I am trying to make my grandfather proud that I'm this badass dude. And he's basically told me, dude, you're nothing. But for me at that point in my life to hear that, I think I could have went down that rabbit hole of I'm Charlie Zamora. I could show up. People knew who I could have went that way. I probably could have. But my grandfather just like planted my ass right there. And from that day on, it's helped me outwardly express and inwardly think what you talked about earlier is that I respect everybody for what they do. And I always did. But as you start to taste a little bit of success, it's hard not to get enthralled by it. But you have to be humble and know that at any day it could be all taken away. And I think that it's just being a normal person, understanding that basic level of compassion, and that like, so Mark's really good at lifting weights, like, and he's a really good guy. I love him, but he's a human being. Mike's a human being. You're a human being. I'm a human being. We're not better than each other. We also have different talents.
Well, also too, maybe people have tried stuff and maybe they've had just really negative things happen, or maybe they grew up with a lot of negativity in their life. There's all kinds of crazy things that happen in people's lives. People are abused. They deal with addiction. There's all kinds of really wild things that can happen. And maybe that person doesn't try hard, but maybe they have already been hit in the mouth a bunch of times to where they don't even want to bother with it.
I think it's always like luck and opportunity in the same case. Like if you were born in Manhattan, you wouldn't have a gym right now. Like it would be a lot harder. Yeah, to have a gym at 21 or whatever in Manhattan, but you were born in Elk Grove and you could make it happen, And
so I was an athlete in the community to where we opened up my gym. All the coaches,
CrossFit wave hit too, right. and CrossFit allowed you to open up a much smaller model of a gym.
Yeah, what if you were in the 80s? What if you're in the 80s and you had to get 20 treadmills? Like that shit's way more expensive, you know? So like there's so much like you're talking about if you view it from other people's shoes, luck, typical shit. But there's always randomness.
Yeah. Like if the Patriots hadn't won the coin toss in overtime.
Matty Ice would be a champion.
Yeah, who knows? And I think that a lot of that too, like you said, a lot of it's opportunity, but I would also remember too that 5% closure, being able to finish. The timing might be right, the idea might be right, but it's follow through. I remember when I first opened my gym, I was there Monday through Friday. I coached we had a 5 a.m. class, and then my last class, I call it CWAD, which was competitive workout of the day, and that started at 9. Right? Jeez. And I slept at my gym for probably 2 years. And Misha would take naps with me in the middle of the day there in between our classes, and we're sleeping on, mats and have no money. Like sometimes I look back, I'm like, how the hell did I even pay rent? Like I don't even understand how I lived.
The best part about that is the way that you made it work is you didn't think about it.
I had no time to think about it.
People would say like, "Oh man, how'd you guys back in the day used to load up those weights, in your squat suits and all that stuff?" I'm like, we did not think about it. We just thought, okay, Jim's going for 650 and this guy's going for 700, and we're all in this rotation. This is what we're doing. It wasn't like, oh shit, like that's really heavy. No one ever thought about that.
No.
Just put more weight on the bar.
Well, when we started getting to over 1,000 pounds, we did put a little bit more planning and effort into spotting. I will say that.
Yeah.
Choose your spotters carefully.
Yeah. That got to be kind of a wild time. But I think that almost being naive is important, and it's just what's in front of you, at the time, and so that's just what you're just exactly what you're working towards.
Yeah, just having your head down. I think that it's like, not every idea actually is a good idea, but you need to see what that idea can manifest for you to make sure that you don't sit there and say, well, what if? Because sometimes those are the hardest things even for me to deal with. Everything that I've ever wanted to do, I'll try it. I'll go for it, and I think that now I understand that I will be successful when I do, so I'm very careful what I give my time to. But very early on, you want to do a CrossFit competition? Sure. Do you want to do a powerlifting competition? Let's do it. Have you been training for it? No. The day I hit 505 for 3, I think the next day I had a powerlifting meet. Like, I just didn't care. I was so in the moment all the time. I was just searching for opportunity consistently just to be better and do cool shit.
How'd you get into weights in the first place?
Oh, my mom and dad. Like, my dad was the manager.
Your mom lift?
She does. She lifts with me every morning, and she has for years. She was a big aerobics person. Shout out Reebok in the 80s. So my
she
dad
got the leg warmers and stuff.
Shout out Jane
Never
Fonda.
have her on this show. That would be the time of your life.
I think I met your mom once, and from what I remember, all I can remember that she was really pretty.
She's pretty, and she's fired up.
I was like, damn. Charlie's mom's kind of hot.
There you go. She'll be excited you said that. No, so my dad was the gym manager in the Bay Area. My mom was an aerobic instructor. They met, made me, and then got married. So I've literally been a gym baby my whole life. My mom taught aerobics with me through all 9 months of her pregnancy. And then as soon as I was able to be in the gym, there's pictures of my dad have me on an incline bench press at I think a few weeks old. And they're trying to put dumbbells in my hand. And everyone in my family, my uncle was former Mr. San Diego. I have aunts have done bodybuilding, uncles who do bodybuilding. Cool. My whole family has always been about fitness. It was my first job when I was 8. I was cleaning equipment. My dad has owned gyms, different things. I was running a front desk at 12. I signed my first gym membership, I think, at 14 or 15 years old. And that
started your first cycle at 16.
Yeah, exactly. Which also forced a lot of personality too, being able to
communicate with people. Yeah.
And so it was cool. And then, like any kid that wants to say F you, I could do it on my own. I asked for no help from my dad and went off and did my own style of gym. And at that point, everyone in my family, everyone pretty much in the industry was bodybuilding based, right, or traditional gym, and I kind of found CrossFit and sport specific training and helping kids and doing
your dad
boot camps.
More so than anybody was probably pretty against that, right? Because he had a bodybuilding background.
He thought it was cool because I was into fitness, but he just didn't understand why I wasn't doing 21s.
Come on,
yeah, he's like, put on your board shorts and your nanos. I mean, all my cousins, all my uncles used to light me up all the time about it, but then I'm like, how many pull-ups can you do? And they're like, well, the swinging ones, regular ones, and just funny.
Yeah.
But we have a good time. And then when I started getting stronger than all of them while still being able to run and do things, they're like, I guess that CrossFit shit's pretty cool, huh? And they're like, oh, yeah, and girls only wear sports bras, huh? I'm like, yeah, man, come in anytime. That's not why I'm there, but people do work out in workout clothes.
Yeah, there you go.
Half naked.
That's funny.
Your dad did some bodybuilding, and then you called me one day. Your dad actually works out in your gym, right?
Yeah, he will at time to time. He's training at another gym now that he's kind of helping out with. But yeah, there was a period of time, actually kind of weird, period of time where I didn't talk to my mom for 10 years. And then me and her
That's a long period of time.
Yeah, me and her have a really good relationship. And then a period of time where I didn't talk to my dad for a few years. None of it was warranted by me. I will take responsibility of being a kid. Yeah. But a lot of things sometimes in families of divorce homes, shit just gets weird. Long story short, I told Mark I hadn't talked to my dad in a long time because of some issues, and
this was him calling me at 7 in the morning while I'm taking a shit.
Yeah, some issues going on, and I was all fired up. And it was actually the hip circle was the first time me and my dad had worked out again together in a long time. And I was like, hey man, I got this new product in. I'll help you out because my dad had cerebral paralysis. He was doing shrugs at 405 in a squat rack. And was just repping the shit out of it, twisted his neck.
Cervical spine or something.
Did something to his cervical spine and was technically paralyzed for 4 months. Had to relearn how to do everything, but he's still a gym monkey, still crushing it. I think sometimes where I get my super bro from is from my dad. But long story short, we hadn't spent a lot of time together, and I was helping him with rehabbing with his walking, the atrophy that happened in his legs. And so the Hip Circle was a great product, and it was really cool. I got him in the gym with me, and my brother was in the gym, and I called Mark, and I was like, you have no idea, man. I just want to thank you. I said, the first time I got my dad back in the gym was with one of your products, and it helped us kind of hang out. And I hate saying this, but it's all guys, right? It's like this. It's like you could not talk to your dad or another man for some time, but it's like this, like, how's that workout? Oh, fuck, good workout, man. It was good. Did you see the game? So, like, we could have, but just having that conversation for a while, I didn't have with my dad. So it was cool to be in that same environment. Now he's asking me for every product that Mark makes, and I told him, no, Dad, you still have to buy stuff. I don't own this company. But he thinks it's cool, and my mom thinks it's cool. She's super supportive. I do have a very supportive family, even though there's those times in which we didn't talk. I know my family loves me, and they always had a good base of support. Mm-hmm. But the one person that's kept me sane, that's why I married her, is my wife, and I definitely think she downgraded, and definitely think that I won the lottery.
A lot of people would agree.
Yeah, a lot of people would agree. No, she's the best thing in the world, and I would, if I did one thing right ever in life, it was meet and marry her.
Well, think about how much.
Now I got a kid too, so she technically, I don't think she can leave me. Also,
No, she can't.
Well, think about how much more productive you've been over the years because you were in a settled relationship and you weren't having to chase around and.
Oh, that
Chasing
helped.
around a bunch of pussy.
Yeah,
Let's
give a
just
lot
say
of
it.
effort to that.
It helped a lot. I mean, I haven't been in conversations with my buddy like Tony Blower is really big in the CrossFit world, and some of these other figureheads, like Paul Gomez that was working with Progenics, and some of these other companies. I think one of the main attractions, whether it's Bill and Katie and all of them, the main attractions to me early on, Jason, all these guys, is that I was married and I had my wife and I didn't do weird shit, and I actually didn't really drink a lot, and I was just there to work, show up, and be a part of what was going on. I was never chasing tail or doing anything. Like, my wife was at every single event with me. Like, we traveled together all the time. We worked together, united front, and I think that's one of the coolest things. And that's another reason why I was stoked to come here and work at Super Training, is because ST's a family-owned business as well, with Andy and Mark working together, and I knew that. That's a hard thing to do because we have the gym, but I also knew that I could have a level of compassion of understanding how to work with both of them individually within the business, because I somewhat understood both ends, whether I was on the receiving end of not spending money or if I was on the creative end of trying to build something.
Fucking awesome.
Which is cool.
Last thing, you mentioned kind of like just starting these things, and I think the people that are listening, they probably have ideas, but they don't know how to get them started. You kind of mentioned almost like, fuck it, just get them started. But how do they legitimately get them started? Like, maybe just kind of first talk about the gym. Did you have to go to somebody to get a little cash flow going? Or was it something that was just completely from the ground up and then transition into maybe talking about same thing with Caffeine and Kilos?
Yeah, so I'll be brief because I'm long-winded all the time. From the ground up on my gym, I started basically boot camps and kids camps in the summer. And then through that, I'd build up the business. In your
actual gym?
No, at Parks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was at like Parks in Elk Grove.
So you're trying to just build up some income.
Build up income, train people, get things going.
So not much different than getting money from somebody else, but he just decided to build it up himself.
Yeah, I would just build the business.
There you go.
Yeah, I know I could coach and I could train people, so that's what I did. Ended up getting into a building from there, got into the building, and just started crushing it and started growing that business out. And now we're in our third location, 5,000 plus square feet, and kick ass every day. With Caffeine.
Kind of small steps though, because you said you're in your third location. So
yeah,
first location, like how much was the rent?
Like 800 square feet.
Yeah, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, and then from the next one was like 1,200.
Right.
And then the last one was 5. But here's another thing too: everything in my gym I own. Never put anything. I have no credit card debt.
No lease or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, besides my home, that's the only thing really me and Misha have.
Right.
Or like our mortgage or the gym rent.
Right.
That's pretty much it. But also operating at a point to where I knew that if I could create an expert level of coaching, create a captive environment, I wouldn't need, no disrespect to Bill and Katie, but I wouldn't need $50,000 of rogue equipment to bring people in, my environment and my coaching abilities to bring people in, and then I would buy all the rogue stuff because I had the money to buy it.
Right.
I think a lot of these gyms got enthralled with the idea of making it look one way, but it's just like driving a really nice sports car with no engine. Like there's nothing there. You have to be able to have some integrity towards what it is that you want to do. With Caffeine and Kilos, same thing. I jumped in, and I guess basically what we did there is just fulfill the need. And so I would say that if you want to start a business or you want to do something, one, like actually really want to do it, like, and have follow through. And you need to work an ability to understand connections. But I think that the key to a business is really answering a problem. When you answer that problem, you need to do it better than everybody else and examine things that have gone wrong with that same problem and find ways to fix those things. So sometimes it's not creating this revolutionary thing no one's ever heard of before. It might be like, say with these microphones, say they tend to go out at a certain time, or the way this tape is, people don't like it. And everyone in the industry say, I don't really like this color silver here. Everyone says that. Who's the person that's going to change the color? That person's going to make a bunch of money if they have the right product, the right time, and the right passion towards what they're doing. And I think a lot of it's solving problems, providing a great service, and then having integrity for the work that you do. In everything that I've ever done, I've never chased money in my entire life. I will say this, I'm good at making money because I'm a hard worker, but that's the key to making money, is working hard and not focusing on it. If you're focused on what you're working on, it will come. And I really believe that you will reap the benefits of the hard work that you do. But if the end goal is to be extremely wealthy and live a crazy life, you could actually put yourself in a situation where if you do obtain it, there's no substance. So it's about developing the right people and having the right ideas and just working hard every day. And I think that no matter to what level of success you want to have, you will have it if it's what you're meant to do or having fun doing. So like if it's making clothes for squirrels and you love it and you can make a living and you love making clothes for squirrels, then crush that.
And make those
to
squirrel clothes.
To go back to what my grandfather
Squirrel couture.
Yeah, to go back to my grandfather said, everyone has different talents.
Yeah. Something you were saying about spending money at the beginning. A lot of people try to do that to differentiate themselves because they think other people are not going to match that level. When what you're talking about is you're talking about relationships, and you're talking about quality of experience and all that stuff that's very difficult to duplicate.
Yeah.
Whereas anybody who can scrape together enough cash can put a lot of nice equipment in a building, but having those relationships and the bright personalities and good coaching, all that stuff, that's so much harder.
Well, let's look at, not to bring it back, let's look at ST. Let's look at this podcast. Let's look at that gym in there. I remember watching videos of you guys back in the day. It was in Davis or wherever it was. Not Davis, Woodland. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, I saw that gym, and then I remember the Midtown gym, and I remember all these different things, but it's a slow progression towards an end goal.
Evolution over time.
Yeah.
Evolution over time. You potentially could have took out a bunch of money from investors with selling the name or whatever and get a bunch of debt and going nuts. But I think that it's playing the game smart. And I always say this, fast money never makes long-term money. If you're looking for quick cash, that's the worst money to look for. You want to look at something that's going to be an investment that's going to pay you over time. So anything that I do, I'm not looking to get paid right up front. My goal is that I'm working towards something that's going to last. If you work towards something that's going to last, you'll always have a consistent income because you've built something. And building something's better than taking people's money. I'll be honest with you. I'm good at sales. I'm good at bringing people together. I could go sell sinks tomorrow and be the best sink salesman in the world. I could go sell home alarms and probably crush that. And I could lie to people and I could take people's money because I have a level of trust that people have with me. But to quote Peter Parker's grandfather, with great with great talent or great whatever comes great responsibility. Yeah. Like I understand that, and I think there's a diligence that I have to pay to be integrous every single day because I can do that. And I'm only going to do it with things that I truly believe in. Because at the end of the day, you screw up enough people and you do a bunch of bad deals, that's going to come back on you. And you're not going to really have anything for yourself. So I think long-term success is what to look for.
All right, you guys got any other questions?
I don't think there's a better note to end on than that.
All right.
I get fired up. I'm sorry.
That's Charlie Z. He's now with Slingshot, Power Magazine, and whatever the hell else we have going on here, Super Training Gym. Where can people find you?
Oh, I'm at Charlie Zamora _ on Instagram. Then I'm usually at Super Training working. Or you could stalk my wife at Misha Zamora. That's what people tend to do on a Google search. That's what shows up if you type in my name, Charlie Zamora's wife.
Oh.
Yeah, and Miles has an Instagram. Miles Zamora.
That's great.
Yeah, at Miles Zamora. So you can find me there. I own a gym in Elk Grove, California. Been there for 7 years. I love it. But my true goal is just to help people be better.
There you go. Multiply your hustle, multiply your muscle, multiply your hustle, multiply your muscle. Strength is never a weakness, and may all your shits be tapered. I'm at Mark Smellybell on Instagram and Twitter. Also, check out my YouTube, youtube.com/supertraining06. I'm giving out a lot of information on the keto diet that I'm doing currently. I'm 274 pounds as of this morning, and I'll be probably 250-ish or so in the next few months if you want to follow along with that stuff. Later.
Big shout out to 8Man Strong, 8manstrong.com, bodybuilding.com for all your supplement needs, Complex USA for cutting-edge muscle stim machines, increase your bench press at howmuchyoubench.net, Power, the only strength magazine available in digital and print at thepowermagazine.com. I'm the Silent Mike.
I am the Jim McD on all the social medias. Follow the show on Instagram. We are at Mark Bell's PowerCast.
Right.